I got out my pistols to clean them today, and I also got a new one, and it wasn't lubed very well from the factory, so I thought I would throw some lube in that. But this is what my wife sort of laughed at me because they all look the same. But this is sort of like my progression of how I've carried, or what pistols I've carried, and they're all Smith Wesson M&Ps. So you can call me a fanboy if you want. I even picked up a couple Smith Wesson knives, even though I'm not normally a fan of what they offer. These were super cool. The first one I owned was this 40C, which is the compact 40 cal M&P. Nothing particularly special. Has a rail on it. The second one is a 40 Shield. It has a frame safety. After a while, I maybe saw a special deal on a 9mm, and you get a couple extra rounds. So I picked up the Shield 2.0 in 9mm, so that got a little bit of extra grip. But when I put this on, it actually irritated my skin where that was rubbing. So it only lasted a day or two, and then I was fine. And then recently, I saw this in a Rural King ad. So this is a bronze finish Shield Plus, and it comes with a frame. This one has a frame safety on it too. It has some extra features that the other one didn't. So I thought I would compare them since I had them all out to clean. Oh, and here's the unwavered frame lock, spring assisted, engraving on the wood, laser engraving or laser etching or whatever it is on the, what is that, a bolster. And then they came out with the unwavered stiletto or dagger, unwavered dagger, also assisted frame lock. I did notice after I got this one that there's a little bit of wood sticking up here, so that does look like a manufacturing defect right there on that. So in comparison of the four that we have here, the main difference with this first guy is the width of the slide. I measured it at 1 1/16 inch, and all three of the other ones are at 15/16 or maybe a little bit lower than that. So there's like an 1/8 of an inch difference in the slide width. These were all the same. The overall length, this one is also longer than the others. So I'm thinking it's about a 1/2 inch. This one is 6 5/8, and the other one's 6 1/4. It looks like the overall height with the mag, this guy's actually a little bit shorter than these other ones. So basically the bigger gun is actually a tad bit shorter, which I was a little surprised at that. As for magazine capacity, this one comes in a 10 flush, and it has a 15 rounder that you can put a little sleeve on and put it in there, and that'll basically make it a full size with a short barrel. It also comes with a short mag that has a little pinky grip. Yeah, I think think the 9mm versions, the standard mag flat base is 12 and the big one is 17. On the 40 Shield, the mag is only a 6. So this is a super small capacity gun with the flat mag, and then the extended mag only adds 1. So if you had a 6 in there with the 7 backup, you'd have 6 plus 1, 14 total just with 2 mags. And in this one you could basically have more than that with 1 mag. The 9mm version adds 1 round each, so it's 7 and 8 instead of 6 and 7. So with the 9mm you could get 16, so 7 plus 1 plus 8. This one I think came with 3 mags. One of these I bought used, I think, for a super good deal, and all the mags came with it. The other one I purchased new and had to buy an extra. And then the Shield Plus, humorously the mags are not marked on both sides like these. You can see markings on both sides, but this one, it's only on the one side. So the shorties are 10, which puts this in the same capacity as this, plus a backup mag would be 13. And then I think they also make 15 rounds mags. This should be just a 13. And then the 15 rounder will be a little bit longer. So for the same size, moving up from a regular Shield or a Shield 2.0 to a Shield Plus is a significant increase in ammo capacity. The normal weight empty. Let's see, this one's 22.34 ounces. This one's 18.15. I thought these would be the same, but the M2.0 is 18.29 empty. And then this one, when I picked it up in the store, I was like, man, this is super lightweight. It's only 17.18 ounces. So I don't know how they've got an ounce less on this guy, because they otherwise appear to be relatively similar. With the mag, this one's 31.23 ounces. Obviously that'll be different depending on what bullet weights you're using or whatever. So a full mag plus 1 in the chamber. This one was 24.2. This one's 23.5. This one's 23.7. So the difference between this with the full mag and this with the full mag is like 0.2 ounces, which is very surprising. And then weight with the extended mag, this one's 35 ounces, 24.8, 24.4, and 25.4. The issue that I've come across since this one, since I just purchased this one, I was kind of under the assumption that the single stack mags would work in these, but they don't. They don't click in. There's no compatibility there, so I must have heard some tall tales online. So I thought I would start out with these two and have these as backups, but that's not the case. So these are actually thicker. This will fit in the regular magazine that I have for it. So the new one will fit in the same Shield mag like the old ones. But the magazine carrier is single stack. And so if I try to put the double stack here, it's a little bit of a tight fit. I could maybe get that to work, but that would really not be awesome. I could maybe use the original 40 double stack and put that in here. It's loose right now, but once you put it on, it might smush and hold it. So I'm going to have to find a new mag carrier probably for this new guy. Additionally, this one takes or can take a dot sight, which the other ones aren't set up for. And if I'm had a dot sight on there, then I would need a cutout on my Kydex. So that means I would need a new holster for my pistol too for this one. Even the kind of generic holster, these will all fit in this and just compress. This one would also need a cutout for the dot sight. Another issue that I sort of noticed, I'm not sure if it's actually an issue. This is my original Shield 40 with the safety. This safety is up, down, nothing in the middle. This new one kind of has like this little half safe, or this little play, and it kind of clicks. It's not on safe. You have to go again to get it on safe. But if you were not paying too much attention, you might think that's on safe and it's not. So I'm not sure exactly why this little step in the middle sort of like double clicks, which seems not okay, but it may not be a major thing. None of these three came with night sights. I have purchased an aftermarket front sight for this one. These two still have no night sights, and then this one came with night sights and that little orange dot around the front. So that was pretty cool. I didn't realize it came with those. This one has a blade style trigger with a dingus. These three have ones that have a folding trigger that folds halfway. Some people aren't a huge fan of this style of trigger. I haven't really had any issue. This one also has adjustable palm swells, so you can swap it out by taking the little tool out of the bottom, pull it out, and then you can change the back strap. The other ones don't do that. Let's see, of the four, this one has a little rail on the front, so you could put a light on this guy. These three do not have that, so they might make a laser or light adapter that clips on to the grip or the trigger guard, but otherwise there's no rail. As for what I use these for, I have a couple different purposes. This one, sometimes in the dark, because it had the night sight, I would get this one ready to go and have it handy in the dark. Or if there was a high probability of armed conflict or needing it. So during the political turmoil seasons, I had this one ready to go with full mags, all the extended mags, ready to go for that. This one doesn't have a frame safety, so I wouldn't carry this one appendix. This one does have a frame safety, so I would occasionally put this in this holster here just for a lazy having a gun around the house or the property outside. I could just clip that on, tuck it in the front of my pants, and be armed while out and about. This one doesn't have a frame safety, so I wouldn't use it for that. So I use this one for everyday carry most of the time these days. And I usually carry a 330 on the waist. And then this one, I've just purchased it. I'll probably wait to sort of roll it into the rotation until I get the dot sight on it. and then, but it does have night sight, so I might keep this one on the nightstand to use in the dark if somebody breaks in. So that's kind of what is going on here. They each have their own uses, but these two, you know, I won't appendix carry these guys. These two are better because they have some night sights. This one can take a dot, but that messes up my holster situation. These two are 9mm, have a little bit higher capacity than these two, which were 40. I don't really have any particular issues with 40 versus 9mm. It doesn't matter to me much. So I thought I would just throw this together. It was kind of interesting having 4 of these guys that are pretty much all the same, but not on the table at once. Another thing that was going on and precipitated me purchasing this last guy is Smith Wesson is running a rebate for a free green dot sight from Veridian with the purchase of a pistol that will take one. So I purchased this. It was on sale a little bit, and plus I'm getting a green dot sight hopefully soon for free. So I've never used a pistol with a sight on it, with a dot sight on it. So I may not like it, may like it, I'm not sure, but either way it's free, so it won't make any financial difference. So that's pretty cool. I think the rebate from Smith & Wesson is going on until the end of April 25. So the fun little story about this guy, I was looking for this, or I saw the sale, and I stopped at my local Rural King, and they didn't have one, and they weren't sure. They sold all 3 of them. So I was like, whatever, I don't really need a gun, another gun, as you can see. So I wasn't too concerned about not picking it up on special. I don't know about these dot sights on pistols. I don't know. So then I was going on a little adventure with my wife for our anniversary, so a little weekender. So there's a couple more Rural Kings in the area, so I called, you know, a couple that were close, and they like, nah, we don't have any, nah, we don't have any. So I was like, whatever. So and the next day, my wife was like, hey, call up the other Rural King that's over there. And I'm like, you know, I don't need to do that. But I did, and they had one. So we ended up picking this up because my wife kind of said, hey, call this other store. So I was telling the guys that this happened, and I was like, isn't the wife supposed to be the one that says, no, you don't need another gun? But instead she's like, hey, call that other store and see if they got it. So I got a kick out of that. Additionally, with the holster problems that I'm having, I got these Fox holsters, and they were off of Amazon, FOXX, and I don't think they're in business anymore. And these little clips the clips that have these little wide tabs at the bottom. I'm not a big fan of these too much anymore. They kind of mess up my car seat and scrape on things like my furniture, so I've tried to modify these in the past, but it just doesn't help, or it causes other problems. So I think I should get a full Kydex holster or something, and then get some clips that have soft loops on it, so that I'm not scraping up my car and scraping up my furniture and stuff. I'll just have to grow up and get real holsters or something. So I don't know if you guys have ideas for where to get holsters with soft loops. I might have to piece together a couple different things from a couple different places. So
US, and you can get different colors and whatever. What holster are you looking for?
So my wife, she's right now
Oh, sorry.
contributing to my delinquency. She's trying to find these holster options for me online. Who is this woman? Why is she so helpful? I said I wouldn't carry this one around probably until I got the sight, but I started carrying it around anyway. The stippling on this Shield Plus is crazier than the Shield 2.0. So this irritated me a little bit, like when I first started wearing this. This one irritated me the first time, but this keeps grabbing my shirt and unconcealing me, which is not awesome. I even sanded this down a little bit, and it's still grabbing my shirt a lot more than this. I'm having trouble finding a hybrid holster like this with the leather that protects it from touching your skin, because I don't really want my magazines to get all rusty or corroded from having no protection on the back. And so I want a replacement like this. Hybrid Holsters makes one. I did find that. It's one of the few options, but I don't think they make a Shield Plus, so I had to email them to see if they would make a Shield Plus. Since some of the recording, I have picked up a 15-round magazine. It has a slightly, I guess it works for the equalizer, but it's smushed right here between 13 and 15. It's not the same spacing as the other ones, which seems a little odd, but no biggie, whatever. It is longer than the 13 by a little bit. Also fits the equalizer. And I got my dot sight. So I thought in the beginning, when I first submitted the rebate or promotion, that it was going to take a long time. So they said check in after a week if you don't get a response. So I checked in before a week, at a week, after a week, and they had still processing. So I figured this was going to be a long drawn out process. Finally, I think about 2 weeks, they said that it was in processing or had been processed. And then they said it would take up to 60 days before it shipped. And then I would imagine that shipping would take, a week. So I was expecting 2 or 3 weeks to process, 2 months to actually get it going, and then a week to get it to me. So I was expecting, 3 months. But I actually got it in right on a month. So I got it mounted yesterday. I don't know if we can line this up. Everybody knows what a green dot looks like, I imagine. Can you see that in there? Turned up the brightness a little bit. Maybe we can see that. So it's, 2 or 3 MOA green dot. Nothing overly exciting there. It's not like a circle or a ring or a ACSS chevron or anything. And then I haven't shot this. I haven't sighted this in, so it's just initial impressions. It is definitely different trying to line that guy up when you're lining up the sights. So I'm not sure if I'll like it or not, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, 30 days turnaround on this, which is faster than I expected. So that was pretty cool. Holster options that I'm considering at the moment are from Black Point Tactical. They have something called a leather wing. So it's a full Kydex holster with like leather wings off to each side. So it's sort of hybrid-y. The issue is it comes with outside the waistband clips, and the inside the waistband is a secondary purchase, whereas I would want the inside the waistband clips only, but it's not a choice. I am thinking about getting tuckable soft loops, so that would be from someone else anyway, so it may not be a big deal. And then Vetter, the Pro Tuck. But we'll see about those two options. And then I need to find a mag holster also.